computer. So, hello, Mark. Good morning here in Brazil, and good afternoon in England. And we
Good
are
morning.
starting. Good morning, my friend. We are starting our first interview with an English native speaker. And as all first interviews should be, is with a very nice person. That is my friend Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
So, Mark, in this interview, we're gonna make some questions about you, but the focus is not you. You are an awesome person, obviously. But I want to focus on how is your life in England, how did you grow up, how things works in school, in supermarket. Here in Brazil, we want to know how things happen in other countries. So that's what we're gonna ask you today. Okay?
Great.
So you can introduce yourself first. Talk what you want about you. Who are you? Your age? Where you're from? How you see
Okay.
life?
Well, my name is Mark. I live in Liverpool, which is in the northwest of England. It's the city that was made famous by the Beatles, and we get lots of people visiting Liverpool because of the Beatles. I'm married, and we have two sons, and they're both musicians. So our house is always filled with noise.
Oh my, your two sons are musicians.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nice. In the place where the Beatles were born
Hmm.
and grow. Oh, that's so fun. Do you like Beatles?
Oh yes, yes, yeah. Except one song. I
Oh,
don't like. I don't like Yellow Submarine. I don't like that
why?
song.
Everyone likes it.
Not me.
Do you have a story with this music, Mark? No, you
Do
just don't like
do I? No, no.
it.
Um, so Liverpool is a really good place to live. We have lots of Brazilians living in Liverpool. In fact,
Ooh,
maybe 4,000.
4,000
Um,
Brazilians.
yes, yes.
Ooh.
Um, m- Maybe it's because it's one of the cheapest places to live in Britain. Maybe.
So, okay, it's really cheap to live in England, Liverpool.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's also an interesting place. We have a lot of interesting architecture. We have some really big museums and galleries, which are all free. You can visit them all free. Um, and shopping. We have a lot of shops, some really good shops.
Oh my. Okay. Oh, Mark, can you give me 1 second, please?
Sure.
Mark, I have a question. Can you hear the audio of the tool that my dad's using to cut or not?
I haven't noticed it.
No, you didn't? Okay.
I didn't notice it. No.
Yes, because my headset, I think that he blocks the sound of. Okay. So let's
Okay.
continue. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, no
Well,
problem.
you were talking about Liverpool, about where you live. Do you like to live in Liverpool?
Oh, yes. It's uh, famous in the UK for being one of the most friendly cities. Um, for example, if somebody comes to Liverpool and, for example, if their child fell over, you can be sure lots of people will run to help that child, maybe give them a bar of chocolate. When
Oh
I had
no.
little children and I had any difficulties, there were always lots of people to help. Um, Liverpool is a very proud city as well. Um, people from Liverpool don't say they're British. They don't say they're English. They say, I'm a Scouser. I'm Scouse. I'm not British. I'm not English. I'm Scouse. They're very
Scouts.
proud. Yeah.
Okay, and this happens because the United Kingdom, that where you live, is divided by England, I think that North Ireland, and Scouse, right? Is this correct?
Well, people from Liverpool would like you to think that was so, but we have 4 different nations within one country.
Okay.
It's a bit confusing, but there's Scotland, England, Northern Ireland, and Wales.
Wales,
And
yes.
all of those nations are part of the United Kingdom, one big country.
And
So
Scouts,
it's a bit,
you forgot probably.
well, it's a proud city. Liverpool is a very proud city.
Okay, it should be so fun to live like 10 minutes away from Liverpool Stadium, like one of the biggest football teams in the world.
Well, Diogo, when Liverpool are playing at the stadium, it's called Anfield. If I open the windows at my house, I can hear the crowd cheering, yeah!
No way!
Mm-hmm.
Can you see anything or just hear the people screaming?
No, just here, just here.
Oh,
The
that's so sad.
stadium is maybe about 15 minutes walk from my house.
Have you ever been there watching a game or something like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. When you hear the crowds singing, it gives you, do you know the word goosebumps?
Yes, goosebumps.
Yeah, goosebumps. It's the roar of the singing. When you walk through the storm, hold your head up high. Thousands of people singing.
And
It's
this is
amazing.
The anthem of England or United Kingdom?
That's the anthem for Liverpool.
Or for Liverpool specifically?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Here in Brazil, I'm sorry to say, most people don't know, even the Brazilian anthem, they don't know how to sing. It's very complicated. That this maybe is a problem because in our we use some words that are not even used anymore, but people don't know how to sing. It's nice to know that people in Liverpool, they know how to sing their anthem.
At football matches, they certainly do.
I think that's obligated, right? They have to sing before it starts.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay, do you know how to sing all of them? England, United Kingdom?
No,
only
no.
Liverpool.
Oh well, we all know the national anthem. We all know the national anthem, but British people don't like to sing it very much.
Oh no!
I don't know why. Most of us love the Queen. We care about the Queen. We think she does a very good job. Most people. Some people don't. And the national anthem is about her. It has the words, "God save our gracious Queen. Long live our noble Queen." And so it's all about her. And some people don't like to sing it.
Oh, I can understand. I can understand because nowadays we're living in a time where all of those things are being put in question. So I think that for a lot of people that has a lot of criticism for those things, I think that it should be a bit complicated actually for them.
Yeah, yes. Although our head of state, the Queen, is supposed to be above politics. So here is the government, the prime minister, the finance, education, all the ministers that have power over the country, but above them is the Queen, and she's not supposed to be involved with the government, but they make law in her name.
Oh, okay, okay. So this is a very good thing that I would like to talk about is the Queen because her figure is so magic for us Brazilians. I don't know that we don't have a queen anymore or a king or something like that, but we used to have in the past. And I know that the Queen, and she is the chief state, I think, for 17 countries, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
do you think that people on England and in the United Kingdom mostly like the Queen, like 80%, or you think that maybe it's more or less like half half?
I don't know the exact figures, but I would guess that the majority of people still like and value the Queen. She is 95 years old and she works very hard still.
Yes, I think that she spends all day visiting places. And what's her job, Mark?
It has different functions. All the laws that the government make have to go to the Queen, and she reads them. And for them to become law, she has to sign it. So
Oh,
she could say, "I'm not signing that," but she would never do that.
she always signs.
Always signs. Yes, I think so. Every week, the prime minister has to go to see the Queen, and so they have a face-to-face talk once a week, except during COVID, of course, where the Queen uses Zoom.
Yeah, just like us.
Yes.
Okay.
She goes to encourage people around the country. So, for example, if something bad were to happen, she might write a letter to people who are hurting to encourage them. She might thank other people who've done a really good job in serving the country.
Oh.
And she hosts all the ambassadors from around the world. And she meets other heads of state. So one of the other things that she does, which is really nice, every year she uses the gardens at Buckingham Palace to have garden parties. And she invites maybe 1,000 people from the country at a time who have done it. Several of them through the summer.
Okay.
And they are for people who have made a difference serving the country.
Oh,
Often,
that's good.
you know, if somebody has been volunteering, helping homeless people, something like that, maybe,
yes.
Or they've had a long career in something and done a really good job. She invites them to come to her palace, and you have cake and sandwiches.
Oh, you love
tea.
cake. I know that.
Yes, and I can tell you, Diogo, I can tell you personally, the Queen has very good cake. It's delicious.
I imagine lots of chocolate in the cake. Probably.
Oh yes. My wife and I went to a garden party a few years ago.
Oh, you were invited.
Yes.
So nice. It means that you make a difference in the lives of people of England. I will ask about this later. You can be sure of that.
So we had to dress very smart, and we went, and there were the Queen's guards and bands and
Have
music.
you met her personally?
No.
Oh,
She's
no.
just walked in front of me is all.
It's enough if you love her. Okay. But, well, there are 2 points that made me a little intrigued, and I want you to talk about is that like the queen, she has the power to sign or not sign laws. You told me that she always signs, but can you imagine that the next queen or any other people from nobility in the next generations, they can have a political thinking, and they may sign or not, because I think that this should be something that people worry about. Maybe this queen, this one nowadays, she always signs the laws, but you're telling me that if there's a law that she disagrees, and it can happen in this with this queen too. I don't know. She might not sign it. And what happens? So the law doesn't become law, right?
Well, the way I look at it personally is the Queen has a good character, and she knows that it would be possibly the end of the monarchy if she went against her government.
Yes, that's right.
But imagine for a moment that some people got into power in Parliament. It's very unlikely, and they were going to create a law that would be cruel, unjust, terrible, and could hurt people badly. Again, it's unlikely to be that extreme. She could say, no, that's not what the British people want. She would first of all challenge the Prime Minister face to face and say this is against the British way of life. So she can have that sort of influence. But at the end of the day, she could withhold her consent to make it law. So it's a safeguard, if you like, from something that could be very extreme.
It's a moderation. I understand that.
Yeah.
She's a moderator.
But the thing with having a monarchy, a constitutional monarchy, is that each person in the line of succession, her son and his son and his son or daughter, however it goes, they are brought up from being children to know it's their duty to serve the country. And they're given extra education and training and support to know how to serve their country. They know what their duty is from when they're children.
And the queen also, I think that obviously, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, that's so nice to know, because the queen here in Brazil, we don't hear a lot about her, but when we hear is something like magical. Normally she walking or whatever she's doing, and I think that's more magical than anything here from Brazil.
Mm.
Okay, but I would like to know what have you done so that you were invited to the Buckingham Palace tea and cake?
Oh, I can tell you what I did. I married the right woman.
My dad would say the same.
It was because of what my wife Claire did that I was invited with her.
Oh, I am so curious.
She works with children in a poorer area of Liverpool. She started a children's charity, a type of organization that helps children and families and young people. And she works very hard, and it's made a wonderful difference to a lot of people's lives. And eventually she got noticed for the good work that she was doing, and the Queen sent her an invitation to go to a garden party at Buckingham Palace, and I got to go with her.
This is so good, because this makes you think, oh, I want to make good things because I might go to Buckingham Palace, and once you're invited, you think, oh, it's worth, because I was invited. I think that this is the feeling that people should feel when they are invited or something like that. I think that this is how you guys felt, right?
Yeah, it's lovely to be invited really lovely. And as I said, the cake was really
The
good.
cake was really good. Probably more important. No, I'm kidding. Okay, but what does specifically your wife does? Like she feeds the poor people, or she talks to people, or what does she do like specifically?
The charity
Teach.
that she runs, the charity she runs, um, has lots of different branches. One of them is a literacy project, which encourages children and young people to get excited about reading, excited about storytelling, and realize that stories have power. And this literacy project runs out of a shop, but it's not just any shop. It's exciting. It has hidden classrooms. So you see books of shelves and you have to pull the shelves open and they reveal a great big classroom that's designed to look like the Nautilus, a famous Victorian submarine, Captain Nemo's Nautilus.
Nautilus.
Uh,
I know it.
yeah, so it's exciting that there's a shop there where they can buy books really cheaply. There's a place to buy cake and have coffee and tea.
Always cake. You
Yeah,
guys on England, you're moved by cake and tea, I'm sure.
well, it's true. One of our most popular TV shows is called The Great British Bake Off. And we all sit watching these amateur cooks making cakes, and we sit there thinking, oh, I want to try eating that.
Oh my, okay, but keep talking about your wife work because it's very beautiful.
So there's this shop, a very special shop in an area of Liverpool called
Okay.
Bootle. The shop's called Kingsley and Co. It's named after a famous woman explorer. They do work in schools, something called mentoring. Where, for example, if a young person has some difficulties and maybe they're not allowed to go into school anymore because maybe they're too violent, and Claire will arrange for them to perhaps have a mentor.
And you go
And
there
that
and
just
interfere.
so that mentor means maybe they go for coffee and cake and just chat once a week about hopes, about dreams, about life in general. And it has a big impact on young people's lives that somebody takes an interest.
Yes, sometimes they just need someone to look at them and believe. I think that this is something very important for young people, and I think that not only for young people but for everyone. Sometimes you just need someone that believes in you.
Quite right. Quite right. Then they run lots of children's clubs as well for activities, learning skills, teaching them how to make things, even to run a small business, all kinds of different skills. So it's a very exciting charity. If ever you want to discover more about it, Jogo, it's called Y Kids.
Y Kids. Okay, I'll put the link of your website in the description of this video, so anyone that's watching can click and check it.
Great.
Okay, that's wonderful. So nice work. That's so nice that you were invited to Buckingham Palace Tea and Cake. And I want to talk with you about this tea and cake. Like 3 in 10 words that you talk to me is about tea and cake. And the British people has this, how can I say? People really think that people in England, they drink tea all the time. So this is true, right?
Yes.
People in England are tea and cake lovers, like independent. They're born child being taught like you have to like cake and tea.
Well, maybe not everybody drinks tea and maybe not everybody eats cake, but where I work, we need a cup of tea many times a day if we can get it before work, during work.
What about coffee? Coffee is also good, right?
No, yeah,
Oh,
people like coffee in Britain too, but tea tea does something. Tea is more, it feels more social for
oh,
us.
okay.
Somehow it feels more social. Um, it's part of our heritage, I suppose,
Oh,
that tea became so popular. And it's what we use for almost everything. If somebody is upset or had an accident or is happy or is sad or has something to celebrate, the answer is always, I'll put the kettle on, we'll have a cup of tea. When anybody comes to the house, the first thing somebody would say is, would you
tea.
like a cup of tea?
Oh
They might
my.
say, do you want a coffee? But mostly it's,
No,
do you want tea?
no. I think that's more cultural for you, the tea stuff. Because here in Brazil, we have that with coffee. Coffee
Sure.
is basically everything. If you go to someone's house, you will drink coffee. I think you've been to Brazil already, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel this difference between tea and coffee here? Like in Brazil, our thing is coffee. In England, it's tea, right?
Yes, but Diogo, I knew that coffee was popular in Brazil, but something about drinking coffee shocked me
Why? Why?
because when I went to somebody's house in Brazil, they said to me, would you like coffee? I said, yes, please. And they brought me coffee and it had lots of sugar in it. I don't
Yes.
take sugar.
No.
No, no,
Not even in the tea?
no,
No
no.
way. How you can drink it? It's impossible.
But probably most people don't have sugar in coffee in Britain or in tea. Uh,
Seriously?
so no, so that was a surprise.
Oh, let me tell you something. We, Brazil, we are the condensed milk official land. So you can expect lots of sugar in every single food in Brazil. You can be sure of that. So, Mark, I have
Yes.
a challenge to you in our next interview. I'm gonna send you the
Okay.
receipt of Brigadeiro. I think that you've eaten Brigadeiro here in Brazil, right?
Hmm.
Hmm?
Yes.
And we will make a live proof tasting of Brigadeiro and food from Brazil. You will have some work cooking the recipes that that I send you, but I think that's going to be very fun. But prepare
Yes.
your blood sugar level because it will raise. You can be sure. So
That sounds great.
you don't put sugar even in the tea.
Well, not me personally. Some people
What?
do.
Oh my! Sugar is life, like for Brazilian people. Also, we're not Americans. Like Americans are much more sugary people, but we still
Oh
like
yeah.
sugar a lot. So, what types of tea normally you drink in England?
Um, Normally it's not the flavored tea that some
Oh
people think we drink.
no,
It's no, it's straightforward black tea. Uh, I don't mean black because it has no milk in. It probably has some milk in, but
milk!
it. Yes, you add milk to tea.
It's
You add
becoming
milk.
stranger and stranger each time. But explain
You
yourself.
add you add milk to the type of tea we drink.
Oh my, milk! We put milk
Yeah,
in coffee here in Brazil, but in tea, no, thank you. So okay.
but we do have a debate.
Oh,
People literally will argue, is it better to put the milk in first before the tea or after the tea?
Oh
Does
no.
it taste better when you put it in before or after?
What's your side, Mark?
I think it's first,
First milk, then tea. Okay.
but I think most people think after.
Oh no. You know something? Here in Brazil, we have a lot of tea too. Like not like you guys in England, but if you go to some supermarkets, they normally you will have a section for tea and coffee. And in some big supermarkets, we find what we call shine glaze. Would be like English tea or England
Mm.
tea. So
Yeah,
probably this one is like the black tea, right?
probably. Yeah.
What's very fun because we also have black tea here. We have white
Mm.
tea, green tea, black tea, and England tea. And I keep
Okay.
I keep asking myself, what would be the England tea if you just told me that you guys drink the black one?
Well, I
Okay,
don't know.
okay. So let's make a quick review of your tea experience. Black tea with milk on it. Do you put anything else? Because it can become stranger.
Most people don't know. That's just how you have it. But we do have biscuits. We eat a lot of biscuits.
Cookies.
Um, well, in the UK, we use the word biscuit,
Oh,
and in the
biscuits.
USA, they use the word cookie. They use the word cookie for all types of that sort of thing. We use biscuits for all of them, apart from some with chocolate chips in, and we call those cookies.
Oh, this makes me make a question because I was searching on the internet for cookies and England cookies, and I saw a type of biscuits, right?
Biscuit, yeah.
Biscuits called gingerbread biscuits. Do you
Uh-huh.
do them? Do you like them?
Yes. Not so much, but I will eat them if they're there.
Do you put sugar on it or not?
um, icing on gingerbread, perhaps. Um, my favorite biscuits are chocolate biscuits.
Oh, of
And
course. How not?
Yogo, I'll I'll tell you something about the way that we eat biscuits at home. Not everybody does it, but I do, and lots of people do. You take a cup of tea, you take a biscuit, and you dunk the biscuit in
Oh.
the tea and eat it. And you have to get it in just enough time so that it doesn't fall apart before you eat it.
Oh
Do you do that
my.
with coffee?
Yes, yes, but with cookies, like we have here a type of biscuits. Okay, I'm sorry. Here in Brazil, we also have this debate because cookies or biscuits can be translated as biscoito and also as
Hmm.
bolacha or biscoito.
Yes.
And we have this debate in Brazil. Do we call
Hmm.
biscoito or bolacha? So if you go to Northeast or if you go to the south or the north of Brazil, people will debate and people get very angry talking about this. Biscoito or
Hmm.
bolacha. What's the right translation? Very fun. But yes, we have a type of biscuit here called cream cracker. And
Hmm.
it's like a salt and water and flour made cookie biscuit. Sorry.
Yeah.
And
We
then
we
yes,
have we have crackers too.
also crackers. We do this with crackers. You can be sure of
But
that. But I don't think that cookies in general, biscuits in general. I'm sorry, my mind was already brainwashed to say cookies.
we would
So
we would never we would never take a cracker and dunk it in tea.
no,
Never.
why? It's
No.
delicious.
Crackers we put cheese on and eat it with cheese.
Oh yes, yes. We use this with cream cheese. We put cream
Hmm.
cheese on the crackers, but also we put the crackers. And here in Brazil, this is a very cultural thing too. And we eat the
Hmm.
crackers. We sink the crackers on the coffee with a lot of sugar, of course, in the coffee.
Okay.
And then the cracker absorb the flavor of the sugared sugared coffee, and it's delicious. It's good.
No, no,
You have to taste it when you come to Brazil. I'll make you taste this. I'm so sorry. You have to cook. This is cultural. You have to try it. Please.
We have a similar kind of debate in the UK between two counties, two regions of the UK, two
Okay.
counties. They're called Devon and
Devon.
Cornwall.
Cornwall.
Devon and Cornwall are in the southwest of England.
Okay.
And they have a famous type of cake called a scone. We eat scones all over the UK, but in Devon and Cornwall, they have a really strong debate over, should you put the cream on the scone first or the strawberry jam on first?
Oh.
And of course, there is only one right answer.
What is the right answer?
Strawberry jam first, then cream.
I would do the same.
I think that's the Cornish way from Cornwall. I think in Devon, they put the cream on first and then the jam. And they actually do argue about which is the right one quite a lot.
Okay, but I think that's strawberry jam first. I would do this. I think that I just lost. Nobody from this specific county is not watching my videos anymore. I'm so sorry. Yes, I took a side. I shouldn't. Okay.
People from Devon will be writing you letters.
Probably not, but okay. Okay, so it's a delicious conversation about food. Definitely, yes, delicious. But let's change a bit of the topic. And I think that I was talking to you once, I think that 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we talked about security. And I was saying that here in Brazil, we have very bad security, and we cannot go out our homes with our laptop or cell phones because we would get robbed, unhappily. And you told me that you have never had to worry about security. And this is so strange for me because we have to worry about security every time. So, how is your relationship with security? Like police and cops? Have you ever called the cops for something? Or is like actually 100% secure?
I have always felt safe living in the UK. Partly that's because I'm a man. Some women would not have the same experience, and they might be nervous about going out into certain places, especially at night time. So it's a mixed picture. Britain is generally a very, very safe place to live, but we still lock our doors at night time, and we lock our car doors, but we can leave our cars on the street, which I know in some parts of Brazil isn't possible.
Yes, very few.
Is that right?
Yeah. Unhappily, I would like to if I had a car.
Yeah. So I live in Liverpool, and I feel free to walk anywhere at night time, and it wouldn't ever cross my mind that I need to think about my own safety or security.
And with a laptop in your hand or Apple cell phone.
It wouldn't. I'm talking about my personal experience.
Okay.
I haven't felt worried about it, but I wouldn't walk through a park at night time in the dark and carry a laptop. That would be silly because you're away from people. But walking through the streets of Liverpool is not a problem for me personally.
Like in daylight, I think that there's no problem of walking with your laptop, right?
I wouldn't think so. Not
in Brazil we
normally.
have. Yes, it's a
Yeah.
problem.
But things do happen. We do have crimes that happen. Of course we do. In fact, I used to work in a prison for 5 years, and so I know about some of the crimes that
But you don't
happen.
have to worry because you have those guards that they keep straight, they don't move, and yes, and, and I think that if you're being robbed right the right side of him, he would just look and do anything, right? I don't know. That what looks like to me.
Those soldiers that you see on YouTube with the red uniform and the big black hats, they're ceremonial guards for the
Oh,
Queen, but never mess with them.
are they
Never.
trained like they shoot guns and they
Oh
pursue
yes.
bandits and
Oh, they are. They they are ceremonial, but they carry live ammunition in their guns,
oh my.
and they don't tolerate anybody trying to do anything to them. So I've seen YouTube videos of people going and touching them to
Yeah.
see if they could make, and that guard will probably shout at the person, "Do not touch the Queen's guard!"
Oh my,
um,
seriously?
yeah. Oh yes.
Because here we have this magical point of view. You see how things actually are different from what we think. Because
Yeah.
I've seen some videos on YouTube, people mocking on the soldiers, and they keep standing there, stop it, like I'll do nothing here.
Even in
Hmm.
What?
Garfield.
Yeah, Garfield. Garfield's the cat.
Yeah, there are in the cartoon where he is knocking at the.
Okay, I have my producer here. He talked about Garfield, and there's this Garfield cartoon, and Garfield is goes to the soldier and keep mocking and doing strange things, and the soldier keep like standing straight without moving, and this is what we think here, brother. So it's not like that.
Mm. Well, they are real guards. They're ceremonial, but they know how to fight.
Oh
They
my.
Many of them have been to war zones like in Afghanistan. They know how to defend the Queen. Believe me. If anybody tried to attack one of the Queen's palaces or castles, there would be guards there who knew how to fight back.
Take care, Garfield. Take care.
Yes, exactly. Garfield, watch out.
Yes, you should not keep touching the soldiers of the Queen. Oh my God. Okay, that's so fun because we have this point of view that is created by the media and histories that people tell us, and it's good to pick them and break into reality. And I would like to ask you also about jobs because I have this friend called Luan, and you've met Luan already. And Luan told me once that the dream of each people from Brazil is living in Brazil. I don't think that this is true for everybody, but it's for like 60, 70% of the population. And people think that when they go to England is a place that people normally think about going. They think that's very easy to get a job as an egg delivery guy or as a waitress or a waiter, in the case of a man, or washing the dishes. What do you think about that? Have you ever seen like people from other countries working and a waiter, for example? Can the waiter get a good money to survive in England? It's a place that is easy to get a job if you go. I think that this is a question of a lot of people in Brazil. People really like to
Okay.
go.
Well, there are two answers to this. The first is that uh, there is a government website that you have to go to get the right kind of visa to be able to work. But if you can come to the UK with the right kind of visa, there are jobs that you can get quite easily. I belong to a couple of Facebook groups. They're really not for me. they're for Brazilians living in Liverpool, but I joined anyway, and I keep seeing in these Facebook groups people trying to say, come and work in this warehouse, come and work here in this restaurant. So there are always jobs being advertised. And I know some Brazilians who live in Liverpool, and they were talking to me, in fact, only last week, and saying that most people who come to Liverpool begin by doing things like Uber driving, or taking deliveries of food, or working in a warehouse, or working for Amazon, because those jobs are fairly easy to get.
Very easy to get, right? If you have the,
Yeah.
the correct type of visa, it's like
Yes.
almost 99% of chance that you can get a job
Yes.
and being very well paid, like comparing to Brazil, of course, right, guys? Because in Brazil, we have the minimum salary that if you convert to pounds, is not even 200 pounds. So, so lame.
So our minimum wage is a lot more, but it's but things are more expensive here. So there is a balance, and so I would suggest that anybody who's planning to do it, you look at what the minimum wage is in the UK, and you can see that on the government website.
In pounds,
and then
do you know?
Think, I can't remember. It's around £10 maybe an hour.
An hour,
something
okay.
like that. Maybe around £10 an hour, something like that.
£10 an hour. Make the calculations for 8 hours a week, 5 days in a week for 1 month. My producer is the math guy. He's going to make the math to figure out how is this. Sorry, in monthly, because here in Brazil we are more used to receive monthly money.
It's very slightly under £10, I think, but it's around that mark.
Okay, but £10. And let's keep talking, and he will here or there say the answer. Okay, so can I make a little bit personal question to you, Mark?
Yeah.
How much do you spend monthly with food, more or less?
Okay. It's something I should know the answer to, but I don't.
Oh no!
Because I buy food every day from the small supermarket at the end of our street, but my wife does the big shop maybe once a week, once a fortnight, and she orders online, and so it gets delivered to the house, and I never ask her how much she spent. Because I don't want to know.
That's good.
Diogo, it's because I don't want to know how much she spent.
Oh no, you gave up of controlling. That's good. Girls, okay. So my producer made the math, and it's actually £2,400 a month, the minimum wage. If you work 8 hours a day, 5 days in a week, that's more or less how much we work in Brazil.
I think it will be lower than that. Maybe the figures are a little out. It's a little bit lower than that. But anybody watching from Brazil needs to bear in mind that rent is dearer. Food might be dearer. Maybe some things in Brazil are cheap, like tropical fruit is expensive here, but cheap in Brazil. But meat is perhaps similar price.
I would like to make some comparisons. If I don't know if you know the prices of everything, but let's try to compare. So do you know how is the cost, like how much it is a liter of milk in England?
Yes, about £1.20 per 4 litres.
£1.20? 4
1 pound.
liters.
Yes.
Oh my.
Oh, I am surprised. I'm
This
sorry.
is almost
You
five
know how
times
much is
more.
a 1 liter of milk in Brazil? One of the biggest milk producers in the world. 1 liter is like 5
Mm.
reais.
Oh. Oh. Right. So it's cheap here then.
Okay, so can you notice that? Okay, my producer made another math here account, putting less hours, just as you suggested, and it's 2,000 pounds. Yeah, 2,000 pounds a month. So your minimum wage is like double our minimum wage. If you don't make the translation of the coins, you know, so
Hmm.
1,000 reais and yours is 2,000 pounds. And you buy 4 liters of milk for 1 pound 10 cents. We buy 1 liter of milk. Let's keep making some other comparisons. How
Okay.
much do you pay for a fancy piece of cake in a bakery or
Okay, that can be more. It varies. I mean, you can buy cheap cake. You can buy a lot of cheap cake for £1 or £2, but
1
to
pound
get
a piece or the
you
complete cake?
can, but it's not as good.
A
It's not
piece,
as good.
okay, okay.
But if you go to a nice,
Possible in
if you
Brazil.
go to a nice coffee shop and you sit down to eat cake and drink coffee in a nice coffee shop, you would probably pay about £3.50 for £1 piece of cake.
3
But
pounds.
that's
The fancy
£3
one.
for high quality cake. Yes.
High quality cake, 3 pounds.
But
Here,
if you go to a supermarket, you could buy a whole cake for £3.
how much? The whole cake?
A whole cake for £3 or less.
3 pounds. Oh, here in Brazil, the simplest cake that you can buy, in like here, actually here in Rio Grande do Norte, that's where I live, we have those shops called the House of Cake, Casa do Bolo in Portuguese, Cake's House. It's a better translation. And the cheapest cake that you can buy is like 10 reais.
What?
Huh?
Wow.
Egg cake.
Yeah, the simplest, like egg cake, very
That's
simplest.
expensive.
And if you go to a cake shop, a coffee shop actually, drink coffee and eat cake, you will spend much more. Yesterday, I went to the shopping mall here in Brazil, and I ordered a tiny cup of coffee, express coffee. It's 8 reais. How much do you pay for express coffee?
Wow.
A
I
little
don't
one.
know.
Oh, and you don't drink coffee, you prefer tea.
Coffee can be expensive in coffee shops in the UK for sure. It can be over £3.
Yes, and the piece of cake, the fancy one, was 13 reais. The piece.
Right. Okay.
The piece.
Yeah.
My mom, in my birthday, it was like December 9, and my mom bought a little cake, it's not even fancy cake, chocolate cake, a little better than the simple one, and it was like 40 reais.
Mm,
The cake, crazy.
okay.
Gas.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the next comparison.
Okay.
This one
Okay.
is going to be
Go
fun.
on.
Gas.
Cats.
Gas.
gas.
To drive
Yes, okay.
your car. So gasoline
Okay.
is what we use here in Brazil. I think that this is the translation, gasoline. Am I right?
In the USA, they call it gas or gasoline.
Yeah,
In the
gasoline.
UK, we call it petrol.
Petrol, okay.
Yeah.
In UK, we call petrol instead of gasoline gas. Okay.
And the price has recently gone really high.
Oh, in Brazil too.
It's now at £1.40 a litre.
Okay, I'm sorry for laughing. It's because really high. Okay, so guys, really high, £1.40 a liter, right?
Yep.
Here in Brazil, we pay
7 reais.
7 reais a liter. And
Oh.
see, we receive half than you in our minimum wage. And like most of Brazilians, they receive around minimum wage. You will not see a lot of people receiving more than like 1,300 reais in Brazil. No, probably very hard. When you have a very good job, you might receive 2,000 in Brazil reais.
Mm.
7 reais the liter of
Mm.
gasoline. Petrol, right? You say in England?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God. So 2 more comparisons and I'm done with it because
Okay.
I'm enough said. So the first one, how much do you pay in your light bill, like for energy in your house monthly?
Of course, it varies depending on the size of your house, how much there is to heat. And we have to pay heating in the UK. In Brazil, not so much. For a lot of
Yes.
Brazil, you don't need it, except
Yes.
maybe in the south. So we pay in our house about £230 a month all through the year.
Oh, at
For-
least this one looks the same.
Okay.
I pay in my house like 300 reais. But you know, I don't have heat or air conditioning. I use a
Okay.
fan. That's why my
Mm.
hair sometimes goes up and down because the fan is directly on my face.
Well, yours sounds a lot cheaper. £230 or 300 reais. Wh- Ours is a lot dearer.
Yes, but I think that we have to remember because the first thing that we want to do when we talk about money is converting. Like,
Sure.
oh, how
Yeah.
much? Like £1, £1. How many pounds can I buy with £1? But and vice versa. But this is not correct, I think, because I think that is buying power is the correct way
Yeah.
to look into it because like a normal England person, UK British person receive around minimum wage 2,000 pounds, and average Brazilian person receives 1,000 reais. So you have to look into what they can buy with the money that an average person of that country can receive.
Yeah.
And you guys pays really less compared to Brazilian. You have like 4, 5, 10 times our buying power here in Brazil. Here we survive with minimum wage. We only
Yes.
pay the bills and buy food and nothing else.
Although it sounds cheaper here, let me tell you that the experience of most British people on minimum wage is that it's very difficult to pay all the bills.
Yes.
That is the reality. And my wage is similar to the minimum wage. I'm a street cleaner, so it's only very slightly above the minimum wage. And when you consider the amount of rent that people pay or mortgages, I guess the average rent for something small, a small property in Liverpool would be about 500 and something pounds, maybe.
500.
But you could buy a house for maybe 700 a month.
A month.
Yeah. So rent between 500 and 700 would be a cheap rent in the UK. In Liverpool, if you lived in London, their rents are crazy.
Oh my, yes. I imagine like maybe a room would be 1,000 pounds or something like that.
Yeah. So we pay, I think, close to £800 a month for our house. And then 230 for heating and lighting. And then you have to pay insurance and the cost of running a car. And before you realize it, the numbers do end up being tight.
Okay. Yes.
So, but it is possible, because I've seen it happen, it is possible for Brazilians to move to the UK to begin with a minimum wage job, develop their language skills while they're living there, and then get a much better paid job where they can have a very comfortable way of life. So it is possible because I've seen it happen.
Okay, I imagine if I had the chance, I would do this because I have this friend. His name is De Angeli. I hope you're watching, De Angeli. And he has been on Australia before. He spent like 1 year living there. And once he came back, he told me something that I will never forget anymore. He said the following: I would prefer to wash dishes on Australia than being an engineer in Brazil. Can you imagine
Wow.
that? Yes. Just because of buying power. Buying power is so different. Here, if you have a family with your wife and you and one kid, you need at least 2,000 reais to survive. It's not even living. Like you cannot go to the movies, you cannot buy good meat. You have to buy literally the minimum to survive. It's crazy in Brazil.
Yeah. A friend of mine, sorry.
Okay, but just because you can think, oh, he's only saying bad things, but Brazil is a beautiful country. So at least you can go to the beach, like if you go walking or riding your bicycle. And actually, there are some things that you can do and you don't pay money for them. And it's also good. Or, if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have to plan really expensive things to be happy. You can go to the shopping mall and take ice cream, and it's very cheap. Like we have one type of ice cream called casquinha, and let me see how is the translation of casquinha because I don't remember. Cone of ice cream, yes, from McDonald's or Burger King, and it's only three reais, so you can go with few money. I don't know how much is it. Do you know what I'm talking about? The cone ice cream.
Yes. Oh yeah. We have ice cream cones as well, where you take the cone and they have a machine and they turn the tap and it squirts ice cream into the cone.
Yeah.
And maybe you have a chocolate flake stuck into it as well.
Oh, we don't have this level yet.
Oh, Diogo, come to the UK and have a chocolate flake in it.
Oh,
really good.
I would like. How much do you pay for this cone ice cream? Do you know?
About £1.90 from some places,
Similar.
but from McDonald's much cheaper, under £1.
Under £1. Okay, that's fun. And so, but the last comparison that I want to do is something that people can't buy in Brazil anymore. That's rump steak. Like meat fillet. Here we call picanha. Picanha is like the most expensive cut of meat in Brazil. Like rump steak is the translation of in English, and rump steak. Before, in the past, you could buy some rump steak to make barbecues in Brazil. It was possible before the COVID crisis and when our economy was growing. Even poor people could buy rump steak and make barbecues. But now it's impossible because the kilogram of a rump steak is around 70, 60 reais. And what about you, Winnie? How much do you pay for it?
You don't want to ask me that.
Why? You don't eat rump steak?
Because before Christmas, the price of that meat goes really low. We have special offers in the shops. I've just bought a piece of rump beef this big for £6 a kilo.
£6? Oh my!
6 pounds a kilo,
Yeah,
kilo,
okay, this is crazy.
which is a very good price.
Yes, oh, I don't know what to say. 6 pounds. Remember, guys, you don't have to convert your money because it's buying power. They pay R$ 6 a kilo, but they receive the average.
£6 a kilo.
Yes, the average British person, like that receive the minimum salary, receive £2,000. So you have to compare this £6 kilo for rump stick, and they receive 2,000. We receive 1,000, and we pay 60 reais, put 10 more, and then we have Brazilian rump stick.
Mm,
Oh my, that's crazy.
I told you didn't want to know that answer.
Yes, yes. Oh my God. Okay, so I have one last topic because we're
Sure.
talking almost 1 hour for a long time, almost 1 hour. And I have one last topic to talk that's healthy, like public health. Uh, do you guys have public health in England?
Yes.
So if you don't
Yes.
have money, there are hospitals that are for free.
Most of us would not have private medical insurance. We all use the NHS, or nearly all people use the NHS. NHS stands for National Health Service. And lots of people say that the NHS is Britain's greatest national treasure.
Oh,
And we really value it a lot. It's definitely not perfect. And we could all of us write a list of things that we've heard or experienced that we didn't really like, but it's amazing. One of the friends of my son needs a medical treatment, a type of medicine, and she has it free on the NHS because it's very expensive. It costs over £100,000 per year.
oh my,
Okay.
£100,000 a year.
So this medicine helps her to live a normal life,
Okay.
but it's very expensive. And so she has it free on the NHS. £100,000 is half the value of a house
I
in
know,
the UK.
I know, and well, here in Brazil we have SUS, SUS in Portuguese accent. That's our NHS, our public health system, and you can also have some very expensive medicine through it,
Hmm.
and it's awesome in this side, but our public system is a little bit complicated because if you, for example, get shot from a bullet and you need to go to emergency first, the ambulance, it takes a life to arrive, so you die before the ambulance arrives. If you can survive until the ambulance comes, then you die in the hospital. Yes, unhappily, this is very sad to say that public system here in Brazil is a butchery. Sad, very sad to say, very strong to say. We have good points. As I said, you can receive very expensive treatment. And if you don't have anything else left, of course, you will go. But I'll give you an example from my daily life. Last week, my dad had a thrombosis. So his leg stopped working. And he went to the public hospital. It's called UPA here where I live. That is like basic system point in the neighbor, and the doctor didn't even diagnose him. She just gave him a shot in the leg for the pain and said, "Go home." That's how it works. And after waiting for like 3-4 hours for the shot, can you believe that?
Oh dear.
So you don't have this. You have NHS. as that's a public system and it's national treasure and it's very good. You don't have to wait
Yeah.
and you go and you're well
Oh,
treated.
oh, well, no, we do have to wait.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's something we complain about a lot because yes, you have to wait, but for example, I've heard Americans people from the USA talking about how they have to pay thousands of
Oh,
pounds
yes.
for an operation or even to have a baby in a hospital.
That's crazy.
And of course, we don't pay anything at all, nothing, except it comes out of our taxes,
Yes.
out of company taxes, out of our own taxes, and it pays for this universal health care, which is so valuable to us.
And you don't pay a lot of taxes. I think that this is the most fun thing because here in Brazil we have a very high taxes rate. Like if you go to the supermarket and you buy beans, 1 kilogram of beans, you pay around 40-50% of taxes, and we don't get it back. I think that the best part is that you, even with problems, of course, nothing's perfect, but you pay few taxes and you have a higher quality service.
Maybe, but Diogo, I I want to say to anybody who's listening from Brazil, I went to Brazil once for 2 weeks, and I still think about it every day, and that was years ago
Oh
because it was
my.
so amazing. The hospitality of Brazilians is extraordinary, and it so touched me. And people were so kind, and the culture of Brazilians is so rich and wonderful.
Yes.
The countryside is extraordinarily beautiful, and the the vibrancy of Brazilian life is just amazing. There are riches in Brazil that maybe Brazilians won't realize they have until they come to another
Yes,
country.
that's right. I agree.
The the warmth of Brazil's kind of embrace, Brazil kind of hugs anybody who goes. I mean that
We are
not just as a
lovely. I know that.
not not just as a metaphor, but in reality, Brazilians just hug people who are who are who are complete strangers.
And
And
British people don't?
I know, no, we're British. um, we we take a little while to warm up.
Okay, so
I think we'd like to be a bit more Brazilian, but we just find it difficult.
yeah, that's hard. This amount of tea, I think that you just have to change to coffee, and then everything fits. Instead of tea, I think that's coffee make us more lovely people. Okay, so Mark, it was a wonderful conversation with you. I think that everyone that's watching, please hit the like button, subscribe, and you can make questions to Mark so that we can make another interviews later. And in these other interviews, we can answer the questions that you do. There is a chance of no one asking anything, Mark, because you already answered so many things. But if someone asks in the next interview, we'll be answering your questions. And Mark, thank you so much, my friend. It was wonderful time. We
Thanks,
learned
Diogo.
about so many things. In the beginning, I was very nervous, but then I'm not anymore.
As always, Diogo, it was brilliant to talk to you.
Thank you so much, my friend, and thank you for everyone that's watching. And I see you in the next interview, Mark.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. So what do you do now, Mauricio?
You can stop recording
Okay, stop recording. Where?
here.
I'm learning. I'm learning.